Hello and welcome once again to the LampLighters podcast. I'm Zach, he's Jay, she's Lauren, and we welcome you once again for another exciting week of Hockey Talk.
Are we at episode 10? Is this 10?
Is it?
Let me check.
What?
It might be more.
Party blower thing?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. I think we might just be above 10. I was going to say, I think we've hit a milestone. Good job on hitting 10, guys.
We're at 11.
Hey!
I recorded episode 10 last week.
All right. No, good job. Thank you again for covering for us when we're busy with school. I mean, you're probably busy as well, but I mean, it's nice to know that we can rely on that.
Mostly I find out
You're doing a great job, so
Pumping out content every single week is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Steph Curry. Now we've got that out of the way. Let's get rolling with the Hockey Talk.
For sure.
Steph Curry, OKC Thunder.
Yes.
No, the guy who shouldn't be named.
We got the NBA news. We're good to go. Obviously, we have to go right into one of the biggest news stories from the past week. The Matt Duchene saga.
You called this the biggest trade.
What? Wait, you just interrupted me. You know, I was rambling on finally, and you just come in. What's going on, Zach?
Zach does.
Come on.
As I was saying, the Duchene saga in Colorado is finally over, with Duchene being traded to Ottawa. Quick initial thoughts, guys, before we go over the details of the trade?
The real winner of the trade is Matt Duchene.
True. I'd agree with that.
Joe Sakic is not as much of a jerk as everyone makes him out to be.
No.
Good to know. Details of this trade. Basically, it works down. It was a three-team trade, but it basically works down to Ottawa and Colorado trading, and then Colorado flipping a piece over to Nashville in a separate trade. The first trade between Ottawa and Colorado involved Colorado sending Matt Duchene to Ottawa in exchange for Kyle Turris, Andrew Hammond, Shane Bowers, first-round pick in 2018, which is top 10 protected. So if it's a top 10 pick this year, Ottawa can default to it being a top 10 pick next year. And also
first-round pick next year?
Yes, that's what I meant, a first-round pick. And a third-round pick in 2019. And then Colorado flipped Kyle Turris to the Nashville Predators for Vladislav Kamenev, Samuel Girard, and a second round in 2018. So in all, Colorado ended up with Andrew Hammond, Shane Bowers, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick.
Yep.
Not too shabby.
A mouthful.
Yeah.
I remember when I was tracking it. We all got caught by a fake Darren Drager account that said it was just one prospect and 2 first-round picks.
I believe you're the one who got caught by that.
Yeah, let's
only
clarify
because
here.
A lot of people on Twitter got caught off by that. A lot of us did.
Is it an NHL trade if it's not broken by a fake news guy? There's not fake details. Is it even an NHL trade?
Well, no. Remember me and Thomas Vanek a couple of years ago?
Oh, yes.
He's going to Pittsburgh. Gets traded to Montreal 15 minutes later. No. I said he's getting traded to Pittsburgh. He didn't get traded to Pittsburgh. Then I said he was getting traded to Montreal. But I thought it was fake again, so I deleted it. And he ended up being traded to Montreal.
Yes.
Do you forget to look for the little verified check mark?
Whatever. People get excited. They see Darren Drager or like Bob McKenzie as opposed to Bob Mackenzie. Elliot with no E. Friedman.
I just follow the guys that I trust, and then I just look at my actual newsfeed for that.
Other people just get caught up in retweets. And...
I follow every team's beat writer, and at least 2 of them got caught by the fake Drager. So it threw off my whole timeline. Except, can I just point out how hilarious it is that Duchene skates off the ice secretly, and then he goes to the locker room and his bag is already packed, ready to go.
Yep.
Joe Sakic is one savage man.
I like how he
I think when he talked about it, he kind of had an idea that was going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it wasn't like Sakic blindsided him that the trade was mid-game. Like, I think that Duchene had an idea that that was going to be a thing.
That is the first mid-game trade we've seen since the Camilleri deal a few years back.
Good times back then.
Shut up. Anyways.
Yeah, it was just weird seeing him come off the ice after, who was it that got injured?
One of the...
Como?
It was like Como? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Como.
it was Blake Como. Blake Como goes off the ice, and Duchene kind of just follows him off the ice behind him. It just...
Yeah. I didn't even realize it was Duchene when I was watching the game.
It's like, why are two people going off? Oh, hey, look at that. Someone's getting...
Yeah.
No, that was pretty good. Do we want to go over who we thought won this trade?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Let's just say who we thought won first, then we'll start working out the case.
For sure.
See where it goes. Jay, who do you think won?
It's hard not... You have to go with Colorado. I mean, look at the pieces they got back for Duchene. I mean, most of the time people say quality over quantity, but man, they got some good pieces back.
Yeah. Well, we'll prevent from commenting on it. Lauren, let's turn to you. Are you in agreement?
I'm solidly behind Ottawa. I think Ottawa won it. I think they got something they wanted. They were looking at losing 2 pieces. So.
And here I am, just to make it fun, thinking Nashville won. So
who do you actually think won, though?
Who do I actually think won?
Yeah.
I think I've talked myself into believing Nashville won.
Of course. But before
Initially, you thought Colorado won.
Initially.
I think you look at the package that comes in and you think, wow, 7 pieces for Matt Duchene. Oh my goodness. I mean, we think back, the Vanek trade's a good example. We think back to something like that, and the Islanders could only move him for Kohlberg and a second-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Piece like that, Vanek
and
very similar number.
Grabner for like 5 pieces.
Yeah, but we're not talking about like 2 first-round draft picks. And according to ESPN, the number 2 and 3 rated prospects in the Nashville system, and the number 3 rated prospect in the Ottawa system.
That's a lot of big pieces going that
That's
way.
huge. And to get a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the upcoming draft?
You're stealing all my points. I mean, I guess we can both argue for it.
Well, no. I'll get to what... I mean, they're like a 1B winner to me, but Nashville. Jalen, I mean, we're already on Colorado. Let's make the case. Why did they win?
I mean, like you said, they got... Like, Bowers was a first-round pick. Kamenev and Girard were second-round picks. So basically, Colorado received 2 firsts, 3 seconds, a 3rd, and a thrown-in Andrew Hamburglar for this Matt Duchene.
Well, wasn't the word on the street they were going to be flipping him very quickly, though?
Hammond?
That's the thought. I mean, he's currently buried in the AHL and on the last year of a deal, coming off of a season where he only played 11 games.
Right, but he's also good insurance to have in case Varlamov or... Who's their backup again? I just looked it up, and I'm...
It's not... No, Barra's not there.
It's, he used to play in Toronto.
Oh,
Bernier.
I knew it
Yes,
started with B.
Bernier.
So in case one of them goes down, I'd say he's an NHL goaltender that can step in if they need him.
If you're Colorado, though, you're not going for the playoffs this year. I don't...
But you don't want to get blown out every game either. You need to at least put somewhat of a competitive team out there.
I suppose the lottery system being the way it is now.
Yeah.
What was it, New Jersey jumping from 11 to 2? So...
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
There's really no reason to believe that.
Yeah, so Colorado got all these pieces for a guy who's not a point-per-game player in the NHL. He has 10 points in 14 games this year. He has 428 points in 586 career games.
Whoa, look who's doing all the research. Who's stats guy this week?
I needed to step up my argument here.
Usurping Lauren's job.
Yeah, well, I needed to. He's a minus...
No, he's doing it for 1 point. Only to try and win an argument.
Yes, I needed to do this, okay? He's minus 60 overall in his career, which, granted, he's played for Colorado. Colorado hasn't been that good in the past couple years.
That's a function of the team you play on.
Fair enough. But, I mean, you should be a little higher. You should be about a 0 if you're going out there scoring points versus trying to prevent them.
Yeah, but what if you're a power play specialist? You don't get a plus for that.
Okay, fair enough. Sportsnet ran a stat where they looked at various offensive, defensive stats and determined that Duchene was the 41st best centerman in the NHL.
Oh my gosh.
Turris is 57th, just as a side note.
57th. Oh, he's not even. He's a liner.
They both considered them second line centermen. Looking at the pieces of prospects that they got, Girard will definitely help on defense. He's a stud defenseman that just kind of got caught in Nashville's elite defense corps that didn't really have a spot to crack in there.
Yeah, the Nashville fans were unhappy about losing him.
Yeah. Bowers, the guy they got from Ottawa, was a late first-round pick last year. Reading some comments online about the guy, it didn't sound like he was going to be like a top 2-line centerman, but he's a solid bet to make the NHL as a 3rd or 4th-line center. You always need those kind of role players for sure on your team.
You know, you don't draft to find those sorts of guys, but those are the guys you round out your roster. And as we look at Matt Cullen last year for Pittsburgh. I mean, he was playing more ice time than Crosby and Malkin in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah,
you need workhorses like that.
Yeah, definitely. And Kamenev's kind of a dark horse there. You don't know what for sure you're getting in him. Like you said, he was a top 3 rated prospect in a Nashville system. And yeah, just getting all these future pieces. I mean, you don't really have a surefire NHLer right now, but it definitely helps further your rebuild process.
They say the odds of getting NHLer is like in the first round's 40%.
Yeah.
Second round's about 25%.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're taking your chances, but you know, the more you play the game, the higher the probability that you'll land something. So, I mean, unless you're really bad at drafting.
Yeah, and I can't say Colorado's been bad at drafting over the past couple of years.
Oh, I would be interested to know what their draft record is since Sack took over.
Just looking back, they drafted Tyson Yost.
Cale Makar
last year. That looks like a stud pick right there. I mean, when you're drafting top 5 overall, it's a little obvious. Yeah, really it's kind of hard to mess it up. Oilers, what?
Moving forward.
And then the Oilers trading for a former 4th overall pick in Griffin Reinhart.
That's funny. 1st and 2nd rounders? That's hysterical.
Okay, we're not talking about them right now, though. And yeah, I just think having all these pieces, though, definitely furthers their rebuild overall. It gives them a little bit more of a kickstart going through.
Let's jump to Lauren.
Yeah, I'm interested to see your...
Let's hear why Ottawa's the winner.
Because I definitely would consider Ottawa being 3rd in all of these trades out of the 3 teams. So I'm interested.
Well, why they won over Nashville is pretty easy. I mean, Matt Duchene is technically a better player. Also, Kyle Turris realistically wasn't going to re-sign. All signs in Ottawa pointed to that. So they were able to move Kyle Turris, who they were going to lose at the end of this year anyways, bring in Matt Duchene, a player that they really wanted. Kyle Turris is now signed for the same amount of money in Nashville as what they were paying Duchene in Ottawa. So realistically, Nashville is paying the same amount of money for a worse version of Matt Duchene. And then with Colorado, the whole thing right now is it's a lot of maybe. You know, these are guys that look good, but they haven't been tested yet. So you actually don't know what you're getting. Also, one of the guys is currently in the NCAA. There's no guarantee that they're ever going to actually get that player. You could end up like how they got Kerfoot this year. That guy may never actually sign with them. He's currently in the NCAA. He may choose to go all 4 years and sign wherever he wants. Also, next year, or with this draft, let's say Ottawa drops off, they don't even get a guaranteed high pick if Ottawa ends up picking really high. Or if both Ottawa and Nashville continue to be as good as they seem to be, you're looking at picking quite late in those rounds. Your first, you can either subscribe to the belief that an early 2nd round pick is pretty much a 1st round pick, or a really late 1st round pick is pretty much a 2nd round pick. So at the end of the day, I think they have a whole lot of maybe, and it's going to depend on what that develops into. Andrew Hammond, I'm not totally sold on yet. His numbers have looked alright so far this year. It's going to depend on how he comes back from having this season where he was really hurt. Like I said, he played 6 games in the NHL last year with an 8.37 save percentage, 5 games in the AHL with an 8.84. So you have to hope that he's going to bounce back this year. I mean, in 8 games he is a 9.21. Realistically, you're looking at an AHL goalie who's coming off of contract at the end of this year. They have to decide if they want to sign him, considering the fact that they just finished signing, we just discussed who the Toronto goalie was. Jonathan Bernier. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I think that if we're looking today who won, I'd say Ottawa, because they got a guaranteed Matt Duchene, which is a player that they wanted. I think it helps them because they seem to be going all in to go for the playoffs this year. Long term, that may change because we don't know what anything that Colorado's got is going to turn into.
That's fair. I think if you're making the argument that Shane Bowers won't sign with Colorado after he's done his NCAA, I think you can make the same argument that Matt Duchene won't re-sign with Ottawa because that's when he's UFA. When you're making that assumption, I think you have to make the assumption that it's possible that they won't have him back again. Fair enough?
Well, yeah, but I think that's actually more going to come down to the fact that Ottawa is a budget team. Because I think that Matt Duchene wanted to be back. Like, that's his home province. I think he's happy to be back there. Because realistically, where else does he want to go?
Toronto?
Yeah, because Toronto's going to be able to sign a Matt Duchene.
Anyone who's from Ontario always wants to play for
Well, I can tell you one fan base that will be clamoring for Matt Duchene. Oh, Montreal.
Oh, Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
another option.
For sure.
The only team with one of the few teams that has 0 centers at this point, unless you count Drouin as being top 6 centerman.
That's definitely one.
Galchenyuk, who, if you look at his numbers, should be.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's a discussion for another time.
I think another argument that you need to look at, relating back to that, Ottawa re-signing Duchene next year. Carlson is also off the books next year. That's 2 of your best players now that you're going to have to look at re-signing, especially as a budget.
Oh yeah, but I think they're trying to go all in this year.
Oh yeah, best defenseman in the league.
He'll make $11 million. Yeah, without even thinking twice.
Oh, for sure.
And it could put. I mean, if McDavid is making 13 and Matthews could be expected to make. They said Matthews could possibly be even higher. Maybe you're looking at.
I don't think Matthews gets higher. Matthews isn't Connor McDavid.
Nobody's Connor McDavid.
Nobody's Connor McDavid, but Toronto's Toronto. I mean, Lamoriello is a smart guy, but this is I'm just saying what I've been reading.
They got a lot of young guys that they're going to decide.
Depends if Matthews buys into the system.
True.
And wants to go for lower. I would Matthews will make at least 11.
Oh yeah,
at least 11, probably 12. Probably sign just under McDavid.
McDavid was what 12.
What did Eichel sign for?
What did Eichel? Eichel signed for 8, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was 8.
I think that Lou Lamoriello can use that.
No. Eichel's not. Is Eichel a 40 goal scorer?
Hasn't Eichel been hurt more than once?
Eichel certainly has an injury, has had an injury history, but I mean Auston Matthews, 40 goals in your first year. If he can replicate that, oh, definitely over 10 million.
Yeah,
24. I think it depends on if he can replicate that.
What's his current pace? I mean, we'll get to the injury later, but we'll. He's been scoring a decent amount early on this year.
He's got 10 goals in 16 games.
Okay, so he's scoring at a rate that's going to put him over 40.
Mm-hmm.
He's scoring at a rate that's actually 50, pretty close to 50 goal pace.
True.
It's over 0.5. Let me do a quick little bit of math here.
But yeah, we should get back to
why Nashville won.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of gone over why we thought Ottawa won.
They projected over an 82-game season. Matthews projected to score 51 goals.
51.
Yeah. Yeah, if he were to get even anywhere, if he was to maintain that clip, he's making over 11 million without a shadow of a doubt. And I think you can expect Carlson as the best defender in the game to be
above that?
12. And now I'm starting to think he's going to be closer to 12. And Ottawa's a budget team.
Yeah.
Could you imagine what would happen if Carlson hit free agency? Offers would be higher than McDavid. Guarantee it.
Who would even have the room for him?
I can tell you that teams would start clearing out room like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If there's any sign, if he hadn't signed out with a year to go, you'd see a bunch of teams taking Montreal's strategy for Tavares this year. Yes. Okay.
Tavares wants to go to Montreal.
That's a different discussion. We're just talking. That's just a reference to their strategy. Not saying it's going to happen.
Yes, but Nashville, Zach. Let's
talk
hear about Nashville.
Let's talk about Nashville a little bit. Because there's all this trashing going on by everybody else at this point. Oh, Nashville, no way, Nashville won. Oh, yeah, you know, Turris is a way worse piece than Duchene. And he's not, I mean, the numbers suggest that Matt Duchene's a better center. That's not the description. And you'll hear a lot of people saying, you know, Ottawa gets the best player, therefore they won the deal. Colorado got the most pieces, therefore they won the deal. But how would the team have got the thing that they needed the most at this point?
A crappy version of Matt Duchene?
They don't. May I remind you that Nashville has Ryan Johansson. They'd have no need for a number one center. But what cost Nashville last year in the Stanley Cup final? Think about it. Their number one and number two centers were injured. They had no center depth that could match that of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So what do you go out and do in the summer? You go and get one of Pittsburgh's centers, Nick Bonino, play on your third line, who's decent offensive prowess, good defensive responsibility. There you go. You're starting to load up your centerman. And what do you do? You're starting out this year. It's going well, but you could use a little bit more. Specifically, they could use a good second-line center. So what do you go out and do? Without touching the roster for this year, you go out and get Kyle Turris, because Nashville is in a win-now situation. They need to go out there and go for the cup this year. And they certainly have the roster to do it. And I'd say with Kyle Turris, I mean, he's a good, solid second-line center. His possession numbers have been in and around 50% for the past several years, past 5 seasons. A little bit under 50% the last couple of years. A little bit over 50% a couple of years before that. But he's entering the prime of his career right now as a 28-year-old. If you're looking at Johansson... This is Corsi.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's at a 46.8 so far.
Yeah, I mean, considering the quality of Ottawa's roster, I mean, he'll be certainly moving to a roster with a lot more high-end talent around him. And he won't be expected to put on top-line minutes anymore. He'll get away from the toughest defensive matchups. He'll be on perhaps a little bit less pressure on the second line. Could be very suitable to what Duchene's going for. What Turris is going for, rather. Nashville didn't need to go out there and land a Matt Duchene. Simply, the price would have been too high. Landing a guy like Turris, a little bit less value, but he still accomplishes the job of being a good second-line center and to give them a little more depth in case of injury. In my opinion, you know, that's what Nashville needed. And when you go out and address your team needs, that puts you in an excellent situation.
And you trade from an area of strength, correct?
You trade from an area of strength. I mean, Kamenev is a center. So if you're acquiring a center, you can afford to give up a center. Yeah. Especially when in Kyle Turris, who just signs, you don't risk losing him to free agency. You sign him immediately to a 6-year, $36 million deal.
The 6 weeks.
Not to mention that in terms of your other center depth, I mean, you got Bonino below them. You have Colton Sisson still around. He had a good playoff. You've got Kalle Jonkronk.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, you've got some. You've addressed your center depth needs. You've locked Turris down through the prime of his career. You've taken him away from top defensive matchups where he can probably be in a very effective number 2 center. So you're addressing your team weakness. You've solidified that position long-term moving forward. And you didn't have to touch anything on the current roster to do so. And for a team looking to contend this year, I think they far and away won the deal. You've addressed exactly what you need.
I don't know. Looking at his advanced stats, this may be the prime of his career, but they are dropping pretty quickly right now. If you look at the puck, both his primary shot production and his shot impact are going down.
I'd be interested to know how he performs as a second-line center as opposed to a number one center.
Well, who's going to be on his line in Nashville? What's their depth looking like?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Does Arvidsson play top line? Surely he does. I would imagine it's Johansson, Forsberg, Arvidsson on the top line.
Let's take a look. He's probably going to play with Fiala and Smith on the second.
Yeah, that's what Daily Faceoff has.
Not bad. Not bad. I mean,
top line is Forsberg, Johansson, Arvidsson. Second line, Fiala, Torres, Smith. Third line, Salamaki, Yarncroc, and Hartnell. And then the last line is Sissons, Gaudreau, and Watson.
That's still not bad, though. He's going to be getting some decent power play time, too.
Bonino is out sick, is out with injury right now.
Who is?
Bonino.
Oh, Bonino. Yeah. Bonino. I mean, Nashville's just a deep team. Number one defensive pairings are absolutely going to go towards shutting down that top line. That could open up an opportunity for Turris to play against some lower competition.
Yeah,
I like this. His stats might be dropping, but I think that they'll improve the moment he gets away from those top line matchups.
Fair enough. I would agree with you on that. Honestly, taking a step back, looking at this trade overall, what a trade for everybody. Everybody perfectly addressed their needs. It was like a real good trade. I can't say anybody for sure lost this trade.
No, and I think we can all point out conjecture. I think in a couple of years, if we have this discussion, we can point out a sheer winner and a sheer loser.
Yeah.
If Ottawa ends up not resigning Duchene and miss the playoffs, and the pieces they trade away end up being good, solid pieces for Colorado, they could lose. If Colorado's drafting doesn't work out and they aren't able to strongly develop these prospects, they can end up not looking very good in this whole deal. If Turris continues to drop and it turns out being an albatross contract, you could even argue the Nashville loss. There's a little bit of risk for everybody, but it looks good on the outside. Yeah,
for sure.
And we can all agree that Matt Duchene won this trade.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he gets out of a very toxic situation. His favorite player, growing up, trading him away. But we have to give props to Sakic. He held out for his king's ransom, and he got it.
He got it after all that.
I thought he was going to get nothing. I thought he was going to get a bag of pucks. Second-round pick, and I don't know, team's fourth or fifth best prospect. But no, he got it, just like Yzerman and Sergachev.
I mean, I think part of it is the fact that Duchene was off to a solid start for the year, so that helps to maintain his value. I think if Duchene had been off to a really slow start, then that really would have dropped him.
But if you're Duchene, you have to have that motivation too, right? He becomes easier to move if you're playing better. So, I don't know. I like the trade for everybody. I think it works out all right. I think it's
I think this furthers the argument of who the best GM in the NHL is. David Poile.
Oh, of course.
Come on.
Yeah.
Reigning from last year, I mean, the trades that this guy does is just unbelievable. From the one-to-one trades that he did last year to this, it's just I don't know. I mean, there's something about him.
There's something about him. He keeps trading for the defense, but if you keep drafting good defense, then that's... I mean, Nashville has been the defensive pipeline in the NHL for years, and now the center depth is unprecedented.
Yeah.
Unprecedented in the league. I mean, not in terms of top-end talent, but in terms of sheer depth.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, now, we mentioned Matthews. Let's go back to him. Got injured, missing last night's game, was it? Against the Wild?
Yeah.
Yep.
Last night was the first game he's missed in his NHL career.
That Iron Man streak is over.
Meanwhile, Cogliano hits 800 games straight.
Jarvis is still 2 seasons away from him. So, in fact, yeah, it's going to be sometime in the 19-20 campaign.
Yeah, if he sticks around that long.
I'm rooting against him. I'm sorry.
How could you do that? For a guy that's had to go through what he's had to go through, playing in Edmonton. come on.
I don't know. I like seeing the long-term record stand. I think what you know the current record 963 or whatever it is is huge. It's huge.
Are you saying you're rooting against Yager to hit most all-time game played?
No, I'm not rooting against that, but I'm rooting against him in that he doesn't score 40 points for the. I still want Gretzky to have the more assists than anybody else has points.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because that's the coolest record in all professional sports.
I think that's crazy. Yeah.
But we end up in a rabbit hole. Let's go back. Matthews is hurt.
Well, I mean, what else is there to say? He's hurt.
Toronto media going crazy. You know what they need to do? The Leafs, they need to sign Colin Kaepernick. That is the solution.
I'm not sure that's fully the solution to their problem. I'd like to hear your reasoning behind that.
Well, you know, he's looking for a job desperately right now. NFL ain't doing nothing for him. He's a pro athlete. Realize it's satirical, Jay. I can't tell if you know by the look on your face.
I got you, Zach. I got you.
I do like Babcock's response to it, though.
Which was?
Where he was asked, he said he didn't know, but he also talked about the fact that he doesn't go and ask the guys every day if they're going to be ready, because it can really put pressure on those guys to come back before they're ready, and quite frankly, especially with an Auston Matthews, you'd rather have them wait the extra time and be 100% before he comes back into the lineup, instead of like having him be 80%, go out against Boston and get crushed by Chara, and then spend the rest of this season hurt.
Well, you know, I think that kid is under too much pressure as it is. I think that market is. I mean, you saw what happened when they started out hot. Number 1 Stanley Cup odds. Number 1 a couple weeks ago.
Number 1 betting odds.
Yeah.
Well, people in Toronto go crazy for their Leafs.
And so does the whole nationwide media. But
yeah, that's true.
Well, it's also kind of your sheer volume of Leafs fans compared to other teams, especially considering the fact that, you have fans who were from Toronto who have transplanted out to, Alberta, but they still raise their kids as Leaf fans. So that stuff contributes to the fact that they're so widespread.
Weird thing is
being one of the older teams that, as people move out, I mean, it's such a populated area that it's just kind of like the nature of it.
Yeah. Me and Zach are just trying to think about right now how many Leafs fans we know personally.
I only know 2. Oh, 3. I know 3.
Like diehard, actual fans of solely the Leafs. I've got 1, 2. Yeah, I don't know. I can think of
3,
any more.
and that's it. And one of them
4.
And
one of them 3.
One of them jumped ship after the 4-1 loss, but are just back now because of Matthews. So I'm not sure how.
Is it your cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a high school teacher.
Yeah.
And there's a guy with the young adult group I work in who's a big Leafs fan. But
yeah, other than that, I don't know. You think you'd know more? Anyways, I don't.
Lethbridge has a weird combination of fans. I knew someone who was a Devils fan.
So did I.
I knew someone who's an Islanders fan.
What's up with
that? I actually knew someone else who was an Islanders fan, not just me.
I got you both beat. I know an Arizona fan.
Oh, so do I.
Oh, dang it.
My old boss was.
Oh, he doesn't.
Oh.
I actually know a real guy.
Oh, okay.
He plays fantasy hockey. Actually, David.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Well, yeah, I know a Devils fan. No, I've never. I've knew a San Jose fan. Never met a real true fan of Anaheim.
No,
but I think you're crazy to admit you're an Anaheim fan if living in Alberta.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Anaheim. I don't know a true Carolina fan.
I know a true Philadelphia fan.
I know a couple too. Yeah.
Lots of Pittsburgh fans, of course.
I mean,
They're a bandwagon
Columbus.
team.
I don't really know any fans of Columbus. I really like Columbus, but I mean, they aren't my number one, of course. Winnipeg. Don't really know too many Winnipeg fans either. Speaking of Winnipeg, let's jump to them for a second.
Yeah, good transition.
What a hot team right now.
Yeah.
My goodness, Connor Hellebuyck's looking like the real deal.
Yeah, after they go out and get Mason in the offseason, they had the problem solved in their net, right in their system all along.
Now Steve Mason's just looking like a backup again. That poor guy hasn't caught a break since his Calder Trophy year. That's a shame. But you know, Winnipeg is coming together. That top line is monstrous. Just monstrous. Scheifele and Wheeler. Good enough.
And then throw in their supporting cast of all their top picks that they have behind them.
Well, we also even mentioned probably their number one elite talent, and that's Patrick Laine.
Laine, yeah.
Playing on the second line with Ehlers and Little.
My goodness. Who's the third member of the top line?
Kyle Connor.
What?
He's playing already in the NHL? I thought he was still going to school. That's awkward. Really?
Is Josh Morrison playing defense for them right now? He is, right?
Just a sec. Josh Morrissey.
Correct.
Yeah, he's their top pairing with Trouba.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I remember that kid playing World Juniors. And he was a stud.
He was real good for us.
So Dustin Byfuglien is second pairing?
With Enstrom.
Oh, Toby Enstrom's still around. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is, I mean, this was a team that just needed to put the pieces together.
Paul
Paul Maurice, soon to be the losingest coach in NHL history.
Yeah, and he's
putting it together.
Come around.
Although from what I've heard is like a lot of it comes down to his goaltending over the course of his career has been like not even like just slightly below average, quite well below league average.
For Maurice?
I can't remember the exact numbers. Yeah. Like if you combine all of his goalies that he's had horrible luck with goalies.
Yeah, okay, let me think about where he's coached. He coached in Carolina.
Right after their cup year, when
Canada
started to drop off.
He was coaching. I thought he was coaching Carolina even in the early 2000s.
I don't think he was head coach. Let me see.
I thought he was of the 02 team. I kind of remember him being for their run to the cup final in 2002. Was that Jay? Are you looking that up right now?
No, I'm looking to. Sorry.
I've got it. Just a sec.
Yeah, I get interested when he started. The guy, I kind of remember him being an assistant with Hartford for a bit.
Well, because the Hurricanes won in 06, correct?
They did, yeah.
He got fired in 2003-2004 by Carolina Hurricanes. That year, in 06-07, he was coaching the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes, Toronto. In
08-09, he then went back to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, they hired him back, eh? Yeah, because Laviolette won the cup with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Hartford, Carolina. Yeah, I remember that. So just thinking about some of the goalies they had Archer Zerbe, Kevin Weeks, even for Toronto back in, who was been the Toronto goalie in 06-08?
Here it is. It was a Steve Dangle article. That's what I was thinking of. So the career save percentage of all of Paul Maurice's goalies is a .905.
Oh my gosh. That's terrible. Yeah, it's not good. Even looking at some of his records here, it's hard to believe. I mean, he seems like a well-enough guy, but he seems to just be a real victim of circumstance. Does he have a list of the goalies who's played for him?
So it looks like some of them were Aubin, Raycroft.
Oh,
Layton,
not Raycroft.
Havlik.
Oh.
Toskala.
Oh. That's
Lagasse.
goes in from 200 feet. Toskala.
Yep. Lagasse, Barrasso, Burke, Montoya, Kidd, Ward, Weeks, and Irby.
That is, and Irby.
Yeah.
Honestly,
IRB.
Archer's Irby, Latvian goalie. One of the few who used to wear the old cage. The cage mask style.
Yes.
Hasek wore one. Yeah. Irby wore one. He was the goalie in the 2002 run to the Cup final that Carolina eventually lost in 5 games to the Red Wings. He's probably been the best goalie Maurice has had up to Hellebuck.
It has Montoya, Lagasse, Barrasso, Burke, and Raycroft is sitting higher in their save percentage relative to league average. Oh, it's without him. With him, that he has actually been the coach for, it is Kidd, Burke, Montoya, Ward, Weeks, and then Irby.
Yeah,
Those are the only ones that were above league average. And the highest is like 1% above league average.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a variety of factors. I mean, the Carolina team in 2002 was built pretty well. Ron Francis, and a bunch of others, good supporting pieces amongst them. Kidd, Barrasso doesn't surprise me that much that he's up there. I'm surprised that Montoya is rated as high as he is. But regardless, he's getting it now from Hellebuck.
Yeah.
That's what he needs. Hellebuck has been a force over the last little while, and that is exactly what we need to do. Meanwhile, I'm looking over at Jay, and he's looking up some weird stuff on his phone.
Thus far, Hellebuck is a 9.36 in 11 games this year. In 56 games last year, he was a 9.07. But to be fair, he's only 24 years old.
So he's got a lot.
Goalies traditionally do not bloom until 26, 27. Traditionally.
No.
So he's got
And the year before that, in 15-16, in 26 games, he had a 9.18 with the Jets.
So, nothing spectacular, but maybe he's coming around. Anyways, move on from Winnipeg. Other hot team in the NHL these days?
The Los Angeles Kings.
Oh, I was fine. Just step on where I was going. But I guess we can make a trip down to the Southwest. How's LA doing these days, Zach?
Well, only 2 losses in regulation to start the season.
Yeah. Did you know that before today?
It was one of those things, or one of those teams that sneak up on you.
Yeah.
And
Really?
the thing is I'm really impressed about is, you had Doughty come out over the summer and say, we just need a different voice in the room apart from Sutter's. Because Sutter, I mean, it was still one heck of a possession team, but the team was, just lacking that response. John Stevens comes in there. My goodness. The response has been incredible. A little bit of adversity now. Jeff Carter injured, but
they've been doing just fine.
Also, they've been getting solid goaltending. They've only got 2 games below a 90 save percentage.
Well, Jonathan Quick. I mean, he's been up and down, but when he needs to be,
he can be there.
He can. There's a reason why he has a Conn Smythe trophy. Does he? He won 2012, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah, it was Williams in 14.
Yeah, yeah. They're always a team that kind of surprises you. I honestly didn't think they would do that well this year, but look at them now.
I think I had them in the playoffs, but
yeah, I think in a weak Pacific Division, I think they were going to make the playoff. I think this is a little more surprising than I thought. Initially.
Did you have another team that you were angling towards before then?
I was going towards the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, yes.
And arguably the best line in the NHL right now.
Stamkos, Mestikov.
Kucherov. Stamkos. Close enough. Yeah, they've been killing it. They have They're off to one of the best starts for a line, at least Kucherov and Stamkos in the past 25 years.
Those would be your two Hart candidates right now, right?
Yeah.
Steven Stamkos especially.
Yeah.
That is incredible. He's back to playing at such an elite level.
Wait for him to get injured. Right?
Knock on wood.
Drywall. Close enough.
Meh.
Yeah. Thoughts, Lauren, on Tampa?
Yeah, your favorite guy there, Stamkos, eh?
Well, it's like realistically, he's spent a lot of time injured lately, but he is definitely capable of doing well. I mean, last year he only played in 17 games. So actually, this year, he is 1 game away from playing as many games as he did in the last NHL season.
Wow.
I mean, I think he definitely has the potential to do really well. He's at 7 goals, 21 assists for 28 points. Let's take a look at... I just have to pull up what his Corsi looks like.
Of course, but puns. I heard a laugh. No, they've been real good. Their top line has just been killing it. They boast the whole team boasts one of the top records in the NHL. I guess it's just a matter of how long Vasilevsky can keep this up, if he can. Right?
Well, that's a question mark. I want to see what the guy looks like later on in the season come playoff time. I mean, I know they traded Ben Bishop away. Speaking of those Stars, I mean, they're not necessarily the best team in the league at this point either.
No, definitely not.
But one of those teams all over the place.
Yeah.
His average career save percentage is 917 in the NHL. So far, he's been a 928. He's actually only 23 years old.
He's just a young feller.
For some reason, I don't know if he'll last as a goaltender. Not in terms of his long-term career or anything, but I wonder about this year, if it won't be too much. 23-year-old goalies. I mean, we've seen Matt Murray, we've seen Cam Ward, seen it before. And I do wonder about him.
Mm-hmm.
Young goalies, you always have to be careful with, too, sir.
Yeah.
You know, we have one.
He's being backed up by Peter Budaj so far.
Yeah, Budaj, that's right.
Peter Budaj. Guy's been around.
Yeah, they picked him up in a deal last year. Around the time of the Bishop situation. Wasn't it?
Yeah, he did well, I think.
It probably wasn't actually, it might have been the Bishop trade. Because didn't Bishop go to LA?
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been the one.
That was it.
Yep.
That is correct. LA went with the crazy 1-2 tandem and didn't work out. Didn't even make the playoffs, right?
No.
They
didn't.
But, I mean, to be fair, they brought Bishop in relatively late in the season.
When it was too late.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it was already too late by that point.
They've eliminated. No, that was a couple years ago. They eliminated.
No, I think it was last year again.
Again? But, yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay certainly looking good. That Atlantic Division.
Any other teams in the Atlantic Division that are doing well
There's
here,
a team that's bouncing back in the Atlantic Division.
Who would that be?
That'd be Montreal. 6-1 in their first 8 games, averaging 1.5 goals a game. Oof. Last 8 games, 6-2, averaging 3.8 goals a game.
And they figured something out.
Well, to be honest, it's puck luck to a certain extent.
Yeah, they were.
If you look at the classic PDO stat, they were the unluckiest team in hockey for those first 8 games. They've been right up there in terms of the possession game, really high numbers, and a part of it too is Drouin coming to his own a bit as the de facto number 1 center.
Yeah, finally coming around there too.
No, it's not bad, and it's amazing that Price is injured right now, and that this young rookie Lindgren really stepping up.
He's been playing good.
So Price I'm kind of happy he's taking the time at this point.
Yeah.
He might be injured, but at the same time he needs to collect himself.
How long is he out for? Do you know?
Yeah, they're saying day to day. He skated this morning.
Oh, okay. So he could be back soon.
Yeah, he's an 8.77 on this season so far.
Let me tell you what, Carey Price will not be staying at an 8.77. Not a chance.
You never know.
You should see some of these goals this year, though. Some of these goals have been unbelievable. He's not tracking very well, though. He's not tracking, and that's tough. But he's in all those media comments, he doesn't seem to be taking it very hard. He's taking it in stride, and when you got a young kid coming in there playing well, you got to be careful, though. That kid looks well enough. I have to start wondering.
Yeah.
An $8-year $1 million.
Oh, people already are.
The only problem is for those people is that him and the club agreed to replacing his 15 limited no trade clause with a full no move for the next 9 years.
Why?
So I think he probably don't want to be Subban, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I guess. A little job security.
Well, yeah, and he's got a young kid. I mean, this keeps him in Montreal for the next 9 years, effectively to the end of his career.
Yep. Man, with his low save percentage, though, I just hope he wakes up around time he has to go play in the Olympics. Oh.
Well, what's this? KHL.
Ooh, yeah, that's
talking
big
boycott.
news too.
Yeah.
They could not be going. I was laughing before. It was like, oh man, that's a lot of Russians that won't be able to play. But a good majority of the projected players to play on Canada are playing in the KHL right now. That's another good chunk of players we won't have.
So who are we going to have skating here? It's going to be you and me. Hashtag get Zach on Canada 2018.
Oh, could you imagine? No,
Actually, I'm going to defect with my Korean heritage and go play for South Korea.
I think the best or the biggest benefactor of if Russia gets out are teams like Finland and Sweden, who have their own leagues with their own top players.
The Illustrian and the Smilija.
Czech Republic.
Yeah, all those teams have a good shot now.
Well, and we have some Canadian players. It depends if they get the junior players.
Which I don't think they will, but
I don't know. The call to serve your country?
Yeah, but I think
but it's down to whether or not the CHL agrees.
Yeah, it's tough for the CHL player or teams to lose your players during World Juniors and then to lose them again for 3 weeks.
Well, the thing is, they don't have
Olympics.
Control of the imports going, though, do they?
I'm not sure what they do.
If they're on a CHL draft, I think they would. Because they're under contract.
I believe she's right on that.
I kind of recall.
If you are under contract, you can't go if the CHL decides not to.
However, there are some rules where players are loaned to their WHL or CHL teams from the other leagues.
Yeah.
There's a classic player, I can't remember who it was.
They'd probably have to be under contract somewhere else then, too.
Yeah, but if they're under contract in those other leagues, though, then that might be fine.
Who was it?
But if they're under contract in the KHL...
Yeah, but I'm thinking primarily of Swedish and Finnish players.
Imports. I'm not sure on the rules on that, but I'm pretty sure there was a player who, because he technically wasn't signed to a CHL deal, but was loaned to the CHL, meaning when he was drafted by an NHL team, he could go play in the AHL in his 19-year-old season.
That sort of sounds like, was it one of the Regina imports last year?
Yeah.
That sort of sounds like the situation Zabrowski's in, right?
Could be. I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody like that. So that's kind of where it might be iffy. If they're on a loan, then they might be able to go back and play.
Well,
yeah.
I do recall reading something earlier about the imports being exempt. So, because there's going to be all sorts of transfer agreements in there. That makes it messy.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, if teams are going to be gutted anyways, we're talking for Team Canada, 23 players across 62 CHL teams? And not even. And not even. You're going to be pulling some players from other areas. We'd be talking about an elite few going to the Olympics. We'd be talking about the Sam Steeles, the Steenbergens. So the Steenbergen's American, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but are they under contract in the NHL?
That's the other thing that could throw it off, I suppose, too.
Because I think if any NHL contracted player...
Entry-level deals are binding?
He's Canadian.
Oh, he's Canadian?
Yeah.
Steenbergen's Canadian, just as a side fact.
But as we established a couple weeks ago, he's not on an entry-level deal yet.
Nope, not yet.
No, but like other players who are
good example.
He's no longer in the CHL, but like a Dylan Strome, I don't think could have gone.
or even Sam Steele, who's currently on entry level with the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I mean, I think it's the same thing. AHL players who are on NHL contracts can't.
Because if you've signed your entry level,
Mm-hmm.
is that? Yeah, but you don't.
Because realistically,
you don't burn a year of eligibility though on the contract. It's almost like the contract's deferred if you get sent back to junior.
But it's going to depend on what comes in with that. Like, I don't know all the details, but I have a feeling that probably not.
This is going to be If there's anything that's being made apparent to me, is that this is a massive legal mess.
Mm-hmm.
And this would take months to sort out. And there's only 3 months left to the Olympics. Canada's roster's got to be in by mid-January.
That's when it's normally announced, right?
Well, traditionally it's been announced early January, but the deadline's mid.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, it's because in the past it's been pretty obvious who they're going to take.
Well, I'd like to take the Crosby kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How do you?
How about that Taves kid?
Taves is okay. You like that? You like that Doughty kid, Jay?
Yeah, I think he's a good guy. That Doughty. Goalie. Price maybe. No, I don't know about Price.
I like that. Holtby's good. Holtby's good.
Yeah.
Crawford. Maybe we can take Price as a third.
But
Yeah,
I think that, it's definitely guaranteed that next year we'll be going into a lockout.
No, it's a couple of years down the line still.
Year?
Yeah, it's 1920, I believe.
Yeah,
that's the year where it's all where every single player has got like a signing, has a low base salary but huge signing bonuses.
Yeah, so that they're guaranteed money.
Yeah, but like guaranteed next contract year they will be locked out for sure.
I don't know. I'm less likely to say it is at this point. I think that they'll be able to swing something. But I know that the CBA hasn't gone the way the owners wanted it to go. No. And then before we start getting to that dirty E word that we don't ever want to mention.
Escrow?
Shut up, Jay. Let me get some soap for your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, the cap.
Like realistically, that will be. I think that's going to be a huge thing. Is I don't think that deal gets done if the Olympics aren't in it.
Well, the owners will let them go. It's just going to be a bargaining chip. The players might have to agree to a hard cap. Not so much a hard cap, but a cap that has a cap that won't go up as high.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe that they have to drag the cap down to 60 million or something again. I think that's more likely. The owners are going to get something.
Oh yeah,
they'll get something big because the owners didn't want a salary cap this high.
Definitely.
No.
And the fact that they can use their, the players they can vote on using their, what is that called again? They can vote on getting a 5% increase on the cap each year, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. But
I don't.
Well, but I think the owners also have to be careful about how far back they drag that cap, because you could also limit yourself if you want, because tons of teams are already close to that limit. And regardless, if you drag that back down, you could be losing a huge chunk of your team, and that's just going to hurt you if you're looking at the playoffs.
That's great for fans, though, because that's when the best deals go down. Great for fans.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you got super...
Well, because in that situation, Price is taking up a sixth of Montreal's salary?
Yeah. Might I also remind you that we have $8 million in the bank right now. Yeah. Montreal would be
with no bona fide first-line center.
Well, Drouin, perhaps.
Okay.
I think that would tempt them to use Galchenyuk. I think that would really tempt them to use Galchenyuk in that role. And Julian played him at center against Vegas the other night.
All right.
But anyways.
Yeah, anything else around the NHL we need to get to?
I think that very well covers the relevant information, although if you like a question or two from trivia this week, we can do that.
For sure. Side note from this afternoon, just a little bit of Tyler Wong news. Tyler Wong was reassigned to the ECHL this afternoon to the Quad City Mallards from.
Well, his
Chicago.
production hadn't been very high. What?
I think he's still only at 1 goal
in
10 games.
Oh no, he had just hit the one goal the other night. But this is what's best for him. It looks like it's a loan though.
Yeah, he's just loaned. Sorry, that's the right word.
It's not reassigned, so that implies that he'll be more or less for a time of conditioning or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's back right away.
Well,
Yeah,
it could just be that adjustment of trying to go from playing with realistically boys to actual grown men, and that can be a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I mean, give him a little bit of time and he'll figure it out. He always has. But yeah, trivia. Let's get on to a few trivia questions.
Well, I dare you to suggest what the topic might be for today.
Trades.
We're getting close.
Crickets. Three-way trades.
Three-way trades.
Hey. Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, the topics are so obvious here.
Phone's going down.
Okay, so we're going to discuss three-way trades. I don't know. It's just going to be pretty much spitballing questions at this point. I don't really have anything formally written. Who wants a question?
Lauren can go first.
Okay.
I feel like the first one's a bit of a gimme.
Ah, darn.
I feel like it is. That this three-way deal was the last one to involve an all-star winger. And it was a deal that included Montreal Canadiens and the Arizona Coyotes. Who was the centerpiece in the deal?
I have nothing. I have no idea.
And it was the mere 2 years ago.
Years ago.
All-star winger, Habs, Coyotes, 2 years ago.
Can you give me the third team, or is that going to give it away?
Let me see if I can get the third team. I actually don't know who the third team was. I think it was Florida.
Montreal?
I think it was.
Was it a player or picks who went back?
Arizona Coyotes. Well, it was Nashville. Nashville was the third team involved. It wasn't Florida.
Oh, classic Nashville.
Nashville was involved.
Yeah, I still don't know.
Nashville is the city who hosted the All-Star game that year. It was the first year of 3-on-3. The All-Star in question participated in the hardest shot.
Oh, I know it's what's his face. No.
The package included names like Jared Tenorti, Stéphane Fortier, and Victor Bartley.
And
So, Jared Tenorti is literally the only player that I knew of that went to Arizona.
Why is this name escaping me?
He will soon have a motion picture film capturing the entirety of this year's festivities and was the write-in ballot winner of the All-Star game that year.
Oh, John Scott?
There we go.
No, yeah.
That's a
Oh, see, I was thinking it was a Montreal player who went. I'm like, who did Montreal send that was an all-star?
Montreal acquired the all-star the all-star winger John Scott.
That's where I was going wrong. I was thinking it was Montreal who gave up the all-star.
Oh no, Montreal management is stupid, but they ain't that stupid.
Debatable.
I don't know, Drew Ann's not looking bad. But anyways, that's a discussion for another time. Who wants the second question, Jay? It's supposed to be for you. I suppose it's like...
Even though I kind of hijacked the last question, but...
Lauren got it right.
Yeah, okay.
Montreal acquires all-star right wing. Habs acquire all... I remember seeing that on Twitter. Habs acquire all-star winger. What? We did? John Scott. What? And remember, it was all a ruse organized by the NHL to get him out of the all-star game.
But he stayed.
And then
wore the NHL All-Star logo jersey.
And then won the MVP. And they carried him around at the end of the ice on their shoulders.
That was so good. It's like a storybook.
Well, that's why he sold the film rights to it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question. Well, we're going to have to go back in time a little bit. All right, Jay, this is a relevant question. 1993-94. Chicago hooked up in a three-way deal with the New York Rangers and Hartford Whalers. The player in question, the centerpiece, was named Steve Larmer, who had played 884 straight games and broke his Ironman streak, because he was demanding a trade and sat out for a month.
You would sacrifice
He was
that?
within range. He was one season away from passing him. Him being the holder of the all-time Ironman streak in the NHL. Who has that record?
Oh, you mentioned the name before, and now I can't remember.
That's hysterical. I love that. You set me up in that conversation.
Thing is, I'd honestly never heard of the guy before, so I'm never gonna.
Doug Jarvis.
See, no.
Ironman streak. They're called Ironman streak. Jarvis. There's like a connection.
Oh,
there.
I got it. Clever. Nope, wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nick Kyprios was also involved in that deal.
Really?
And Larmer would be traded to the Rangers and win the Stanley Cup with them that year.
Good trade for them then, I guess.
All right.
Lauren, back to you.
Let's take a look here.
You're up 1-0 because I'm crappy at this, as usual.
So there was a three-way deal involved here between Colorado, the Devils, and it's one of the New York teams, the Islanders. Okay, Devils are coming up. This is in the year 1995. The Devils are coming up in the franchise's first Stanley Cup. That year they were going to go on to win the Cup, thanks in large part to a player named Claude Lemieux. However, he was pushing for a new deal, and there were some issues going on there with some cap issues. And so there was a three-way deal, which involved Claude Lemieux heading to Colorado. Steve Thomas, a journeyman player, went to the New Jersey Devils. And the Islanders acquired this famous Maple Leaf captain, beloved by his fan base before he was eventually traded for Matt Sundin prior to this deal.
I don't know.
Well, the trivia is tough this week, I see.
You're going back far before my fandom of hockey started.
This is the most notable name in the deal, and it's Wendell Clark. Jalen's shaking his head. Do you not even know? Oh, come on. Tells me, yeah, Mr. I looked up all the stats to the Duchene.
Yeah, because that's what I looked up.
Doesn't know who Wendell Clark is.
No, I know who.
We covered this. Jay only looked up the stats.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything else gets left up to me, minus trivia.
Ouch. Does a shot against us? Is that like a slight
shot
little
against
jab?
you, Jay.
That's a statement that we rely on me to go find all the stats.
Yeah, you're the stats person. That's okay.
I know.
All right.
That's why when I look on my own, it's only stats that come up in the podcast.
Let's try this one more time. Oh my goodness.
Ottawa.
Oh my goodness.
Ottawa.
All right. The Maple Leafs and the Senators don't trade much these days.
Of course it's Ottawa.
You asked for it, we're giving it to you. All right. 1995-96 Maple Leafs were old and fading. And as a result, the Maple Leafs were making a last-ditch effort to turn things around. So they were attempting to acquire an Islanders veteran. We're tying everything together. Big name Islanders veteran.
Wendell Clark.
No. This trade involved the Senators, the Islanders, and the Leafs. The Senators traded to the Islanders Brian Berard, Marty Straka. That's who the Islanders brought in.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in Ken Belanger from the Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
The Maple Leafs acquired a couple small pieces, and Ottawa also got one piece as well. The Maple Leafs would acquire a would-be, he's currently an associate coach in the league, named Kirk Muller.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with him?
Yeah,
you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Islanders would trade to the Senators in this three-way deal a little defensive prospect who would turn out to become a mainstay on their blue line right through the late 2000s. Who is this offensive defenseman? He was an Olympic candidate in 2010.
An Olympic candidate?
He may have even been on the 2000s. He may have been. Don't quote me on this. I'm looking it up right now. He was on the 2004 World Cup team. And he was on the 2006 Torino roster.
The flop team. Team of...
After this, you're not finding it? Are we going to have to keep hinting him? I think we will.
Sparky, help.
Sparky, what? Can we give him more? We can give him more.
All right. One more, and then if I don't get it here, I'm...
After the 05-06 season, him and Zdeno Chara would come up for contract at the same time, and they would choose him over Chara. Number 6. From Lloydminster.
You're going to tell me this, and I'm going to kick myself for not knowing. Again. But I'm going to say I don't know.
Wade Redden.
No, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. I should have.
You probably should have.
Dang it.
You were watching hockey at that point. You've got no excuse. The next clue would have been is that the Rangers buried his contract in the minors eventually.
Yeah, I know. So. Stupid three-way trades.
And I think we're just gonna call it at that. This is an embarrassment.
Okay, if you can find one more, I gotta redeem myself here.
Everybody needs redemption at this
Double
point.
or nothing.
Nothing.
No.
It's embarrassing. You need to quit embarrassing yourself, Jay.
This is bad.
It's shameful. And the 2017-18 NHL campaign, there was a three-way deal.
Trust me, I know all about this one.
Let's see if I can get one last one here. Just to give it one more shot. Okay, alright. If nobody gets this, then I quit.
You're probably going to quit.
Three-way deal, 1991.
I'm
92 season.
I'm out.
Between the Kings, the Penguins, and the Flyers. Penguins are defending Stanley Cup champions. The Kings sent defenseman Brian Benning and a first-round pick to the Flyers. The Penguins received in this deal Jim Chirichin and a package of Rick Tocchet, Jel Samuelson, Ken Reggett, and a third-way and a third.
Wow.
From the Flyers, a Kings ransom. The Penguins gave away 2 players in this deal who would turn out to be future Hall of Famers, even though the Penguins would go on to repeat their Stanley Cup title in this season. They traded away 2 Hall of Fame players mid-season and would still go on to win the Cup.
Name one.
Name one of the 2, but for each player, I'm willing to give you at least 2 teams that they played for. Apart from the Penguins.
And they're in the Hall of Fame right now?
In the Hall of Fame right now, and they're very well known. One of them played very recently. One of them entered the Hall of Fame very recently, and he played and won Stanley Cups, not only in Pittsburgh, but also in Carolina and Boston. He was traded to Philadelphia on this deal. He also played with Montreal Canadiens. He's an over 1,000-point player in the league, and just recent, and was still playing in this decade.
Lauren, you got anything?
He also had a second stint in Pittsburgh.
The only Carolina player I can think of is Brindarmer. I don't think that's it.
Brindamore?
He retired. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna walk you through some of the hints that have been thrown out. So if he won the Cup in Carolina, they only ever won 1 year. That was 2006.
Yeah.
Correct.
Boston, if he won the Cup in Boston, means he played for them in 2011.
Who was it? Who played there recently?
He wasn't inducted to the Hall of Fame this year, was he?
Forward or defenseman?
It's a forward. This one's a forward. He entered the Hall of Fame.
If you're listening along at home and yelling at your not TV screen through your earbuds, I'm sorry.
Inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, I believe. And he is one of the... We talked about him this year. I'm pretty sure he was inducted in the Hall of Fame this year. I'm pretty sure we have. Because he was the 8th player to win a Stanley Cup in 3 different decades.
Oh, no. What's his name?
We talked about it this year. Darn it, go back to episode 3.
That's what we talked about. No.
The oldest player to score a Stanley Cup Finals goal.
What?
2011.
Is his name?
Is it Mark Recchi?
Yes! Darn it, Jay! Mark Recchi.
I'm calling cheats on your end. We can't see what you're looking at.
Oh, it is. I completely did. I was just going to say that.
As in you cheated?
Yeah.
Oh. I think she loses all our points and I win by default.
Well,
That's fine.
here's the only thing. You need to get the other player.
Okay.
The other Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He played for numerous different... Numerous.
Okay.
He played for Carolina at one point.
Didn't win
But
a
he
cup
was
with them,
best known for winning a number of Stanley Cups as a defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers.
Oilers come. But
This is not even hard. You don't even have to think to know who this defenseman is. Offensive. Will is the fastest, probably one of the fastest skaters in league history. He was the engine on their blue line.
yeah, I know who I can like picture his name, but I can't. No.
His name, I believe the term is... Let me just look it up. 2 words each that have the same pronunciation. Yeah, his name is a homophone with a very popular beverage. A very popular morning beverage.
Fuck off.
This is shameful.
Wow.
Shameful. Shameful. Go back to your history books. That is sickening. That is disgusting.
It was great.
You don't know who Paul Coffey is.
It was great.
Or don't.
It was great having you for this episode.
That
y'all.
is shameful.
Thanks for listening.
Shameful. Light the dang lamp.
Time.
Before that, it's Remembrance Day this week, so make sure that if you have the chance to make it out to a ceremony or something, people should try.
You should do so.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I just want to remind people to support our troops. It's a lot of people sacrificing their lives. I've been to like Vimy Ridge and places around France where all the world wars were fought, and it's a very humbling experience to be there, and especially if you ever get the chance to go to Vimy Ridge, when you see the number of names It's 11,000 names on that monument, solely of World War I Canadian soldiers who have no known grave. So the sheer number of people who have died for our country is amazing, and so if you have the chance to go and pay your respects, definitely do.
Yes, and that is a good, humble note to finish up on. I also want to take a brief second to acknowledge the family of Roy Halladay as well.
Sure.
Yes, after his tragic death, one of the legendary pitchers of Toronto Maple Leafs as well. Toronto Blue Jays as well.
Yes, it is sad to hear of that. It's a true
very
Canadian legend right there, at least playing for Canadian.
Well,
so like Canadian playing for
sports legends.
Yes.
As we would probably say, the real legends are the ones that Lauren referred to.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yes, a significant death that we ought to acknowledge even here in the hockey world as well.
For sure.
So in light of that, for Lauren Smith and Jalen Corver, this is Zach Hampton signing off for this week, and we will be with you again next week. And on.
What?
Later.
Sometime. We'll see when.
Right. I'll be here next week.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Anyways, light that lamp as always.